What is up, guys? Quincy Carrier here to talk to you about the Browns' fourth preseason game. And although the starters did not play, there is still a lot to talk about. And we're going to start actually with the defense. So with the defense, we learned a few things about the depth of this team. We learned that there is a lot of depth at defensive line. Specifically, Devereaux Lawrence, who has been a beast all camp, and today against the second team line of the Detroit Lions, so take it with a grain of salt, but dude looked like Aaron Donald out there. Now I know second team O-line, but he did look really good. He has looked really good against the number one Browns offensive line. And it looks like he is going to be a guy who can not only fit in and make this team, but make the rotation and be a solid replacement for Sheldon Richardson, or even be a heavy sub when you want to get a guy like Larry Ogunjobi out there and add more beef. He looks like a really solid guy to have on this team, and I really would like to see him not only make the team, but get significant playing time this season. We also learned that the secondary is not as deep. TJ Carey did play today, so it's nice to see him back out there, but outside of him and Greedy Williams, who played a little bit, but not that much, not really much going on back there behind those two. Now, what's on top is really good, so again, we knew this at the beginning of the year. Can't really sustain any injuries in the secondary. Now let's talk about Mack Wilson, who owned the preseason for the first 2 weeks and had a bad game last week. And this week he was a little bit up and down, but a lot more ups than he was down. He is like a flower that's about to bloom, but he ain't bloomed yet. You gotta season him. You gotta water him just a little bit more before he's ready to pop. And I think it's great that the Browns have two starting linebackers who are gonna take that time from him and allow him to bloom, because boy, he has the instincts and the athleticism. He just needs just a little bit more water to grow into what he will become. And I think that is a Pro Bowl level linebacker, a Darius Leonard level linebacker. He really has the instincts to be that in the athleticism. And speaking of guys who play linebacker, Genard Avery. Am I the only one that's noticed he's had a extremely underwhelming camp? He started off on the injured list. And then once he got back, he really didn't make a name for himself. Nobody has talked about Genard Avery. He's kind of just been disappearing at the end of these preseason games, not really even making his presence known there. So I'm just wondering what's happening with Genard Avery, and if the Browns are planning to keep Genard Avery, because they seem like they want Zettel and Chris Smith, who are good backups, to be the backup to that pass rush. It seems like Genard Avery is only a pass rusher at this point in this 4-3 defense, well, 4-2-5 defense, actually. They don't really play a third linebacker. When they do, it's a Darius Taylor, not him. So I'm just wondering, what is the plan for Genard Avery right now? Is he going to make this team? I think he's a lot more of a question mark to make this team than a lot of people think. And watching this Browns defense and this team early on, I think that this is a team that's going to go as far as the Browns defense can carry them in the early portion of the season. I think this offense is going to take some time to build chemistry, to get their stuff together. I think Odell and Baker are going to have to get their connection down in games. It's going to take a few weeks for that to get down. I think this offensive line is going to have to learn to gel together. It looks like they're adding a new piece. I'm going to talk about that very soon. But yeah, it just seems like a lot of moving parts on offense that aren't settled in, and the defense does look a lot more settled in. I think this is going to be the theme for the beginning of the season. They're going to be able to go as far as this defense can carry them early on in the season. And right now it looks like a defense is capable, but again, we never know anything until the first week of the season. And we will see against Tennessee, a team that doesn't really have that strong of an offense, that strong of a passing game, but they can run the ball, and that was the Browns' number one problem last year, was stopping the run. So it will be a big test for this revamped defensive line and Joe Schobert and Christian Kirksey. Now let's talk about the offense and start talking about the offense. Let's talk about the trade that the Browns made earlier that day with the Buffalo Bills for Wyatt Teller. They got Wyatt Teller. They traded a 5th and 6th round pick in 2020. So that's significant enough of a package to trade for him, then it does seem like this is a guy that guaranteed is going to be on the final roster. Now, is he going to be a starter? That is a bigger question mark. I wouldn't be surprised. Eric Kush is a better swingman than he is a starting guard in the league, in my opinion. Wyatt Teller did start some games last year, did look like he was going to be competitive to start at guard this year for the Bills. So maybe the Browns think they can have him fill that hole for a longer time than Eric Kush, or fill that hole better than Eric Kush. Yeah, I think Dorsey is covering his butt in a way, because Eric Kush might not even start. I think he is kind of worried about that guard position. I think he's realized that, if somebody gets injured, he might not want to depend on Austin Corbett, which says a lot about Austin Corbett's future with this team, if he even has one. So, yeah, that was an interesting pickup by the Browns. We know he's going to make the roster. They gave up too much to not let him make the roster. And then, interesting enough, Drew Forbes also got injured during the game. He got rolled up on. So it looks like he's going to be out for a couple of weeks. The Browns had any plans for him on the main roster. Another interesting thing, David Njoku played. It was his first action since the first drive of week 1 of the preseason. He did play that game. He did not get the ball. And today he did play. He did not get the ball. More interesting is that Demetrius Harris didn't dress, I think. I think Demetrius Harris didn't dress. Or he's injured. I don't know what's going on with him, but I don't know why he didn't play. Or if he is just that bad, or if he's just been that bad. I don't know what the deal is, but Farrell Brown came out. Some dude named Carlson from Princeton came out. Seth DeValve came out and played some tight end and fullback. And it makes me think, man, I think Seth DeValve's going to make this team as a fullback and as a tight end. Obviously, David Njoku's going to make the team. I think we get our third tight end from another team. I don't think that Harris, to my surprise, and Farrell Brown, I don't think those guys are going to make this roster. I don't think that the Browns like any of those tight ends. I think they only like DeValve because he's playing fullback, but I don't even think he's that much of a lock, because if they can find a better hybrid tight end than that, they will jump at that opportunity. So behind Njoku, it's a huge question mark right now for the Browns. And I don't even know if the solution's on the roster. So I think they have plans for Braxton Miller. I think Braxton Miller has a real chance of making the team. They featured him a lot. I think they want to take advantage of his athleticism because they're not going to have Antonio Callaway. And I think they see something with Braxton Miller there. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him actually make the team, which is crazy because he's only been with the team for like a week. Also, speaking of wide receivers, Ish Hyman was living a nightmare today. Dropped like 3 balls. Just looked awful. Poor Ish. Hopefully somebody in the XFL signs him. Speaking of guys who did not look like train wrecks, Dontrell Hilliard looked like he solidified his spot on his team as the backup running back. And maybe Dearness Johnson earned a spot as the third running back if they want to keep 3 running back. One of the things I've had an eye on all camp, one of the things I've been noticing all camp is that Freddie Kitchens has been free of new head coach type drama. Now, I know my Browns fans watching this video are definitely going to know what new head coach dysfunction looks like. But for those of you who are privileged and don't know what that pain is like, let me explain it to you. New head coach drama is just practices being scheduled weird, odd things happening during practices, weird things that people are like, who does that? I mean, I know he had the Gasser situation, but he made that kind of make sense. But again, no weird penalties on the sideline, no weird timeouts, no unexplainable happenings from a coaching standpoint. Just normal football. I mean, I barely noticed Freddie out there. I barely noticed that we had a new head coach. And that is something I haven't been able to say since we've been hiring all these head coaches from '99. So big ups to Freddie there. It's not something noticeable, but I noticed it. And I think everybody else should. Now let's talk about the special teams because we still have no solution at kicker. I thought that it was supposed to be Colquitt and Greg Joseph kicking today. It wasn't. It was still the young guys, which makes me wonder, are these guys going to make the team? Or if they're playing on the 4th preseason game, are they not going to make the team and they're just out there to get tape? I think that's definitely the case with Gilliard because I just don't see Brenton Colquitt not making the team. I think the team wants the veteran punter there. He's a very good punter. He's been that for years. I think when you're a winning team, you got to go with the consistency. Even though I like everything that Jamie Gillian has done as a tackler, as a punter, You just go with consistency there with Colquitt. But then Greg Joseph not kicking was a bigger weird thing to do because they've been rotating in and out. Seibert kicked well the last game, and now he's kicking in this game when they told us Greg Joseph was going to kick. Seibert, of course, made his field goals today, but we haven't seen Greg Joseph since week 2 of the preseason, which is weird. So what are they doing at kicker? Is the solution on this roster? I have no idea what the plan is at kicker. And I'm kind of worried about that because I think it's going to be Seibert. The evidence on the field shows it should probably be Seibert, but I have no faith in him. But hey, maybe it works out. Phil Dawson got cut from a team before he was on the Browns, so, maybe he just needed to straighten out for a little bit. But yeah, just weird stuff going on with the kicking. I have no idea what the plan is. So I want to pass that question off to you. What do you think the solution is at kicker? Do you think it's Seibert? Do you think it's Greg Joseph? Or do you think the solution's not on the roster, he's somewhere else? Let me know in the comment section down below. And if you like what you saw here, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, ding that notification bell so you can be notified when I upload. And if you want to throw money at the show, please join the Patreon or buy a shirt. But that is it for this week. Thank you for watching. Have a great day. Have a good night.